welcome to this video. Thank you so much for clicking. I'm so glad you're here. The topic of this video is when trying to conceive becomes preparing for pregnancy. Everything naturally fertility related. So this is kind of like squished into three main points. I try to keep this as, I'm going to try to keep this as short and sweet as possible. The first point is to maintain a healthy lifestyle. Now, to some, that might be common sense. To others, some might not know what that even means. So let's go over what that means. Okay, so you're going to want to schedule a preconception visit with your doctor if you are actively deciding to prepare for pregnancy, you're actively deciding to try to conceive a baby. I did this with both of my boys. I did do a preconception visit with my doctor prior to both of my conceptions. I did start to take prenatals. The next one is start to take prenatal daily. Don't smoke, or like me, when I was trying to conceive my first, I did smoke cigarettes. So I just started cutting back until I didn't smoke anymore. I know it's not that easy for some people or some women, and I completely understand that. I sympathize with that, but it is a lot healthier for both you and the baby to not smoke during your pregnancy. You're also going to want to watch your caffeine consumption. It's not that you can't have caffeine at all. It's that you have to watch the amount you're consuming every day. This one might be obvious to some, but not that obvious to others. You're going to want to cut back on alcohol. Alcohol just dehydrates you, and you wanting to conceive a baby, you're going to want to be as hydrated as possible. So consuming something like alcohol it's just kind of contradicts what you're trying to accomplish. And then you're going to want to avoid sweet and processed food. Again, this one was hard for me, and it's still hard to me to this day, whether trying to conceive or not. Just trying to be a healthy mother, it's hard for me to avoid sweets sometimes and processed foods, but try your best while you're preparing for pregnancy. And then the second point is to stop taking birth control and birth control measures. This might be obvious to some, but that includes lubrication and using lubes during sexual intercourse. Those things can possibly kill the sperm or mess with the pH balance of your cervical mucus. And yeah, so you will need to stop taking birth control in order to start a period, so that you can start the next step, which is track your ovulation. There are several ways to efficiently track your ovulation, but learning the basics for how ovulation occurs can give you a kind of starting point for tracking your ovulation. But a lot of women do know that not every woman ovulates around cycle day 14, especially if you have like a 24-day cycle versus like a 35-day cycle. You are going to ovulate on different days, and even women who might ovulate every day on like cycle 13 or 14, 1 month may decide to just ovulate on cycle day 17 instead. So it is helpful to track your ovulation when you're preparing for pregnancy. And so yeah, let's discuss ways you can track your ovulation. Many women start with paying attention to their sex drive, which is very important. And it's a huge starting point, kind of realizing when your sex drive is up. You can also observe and record your cervical mucus. This one was very helpful for me when I was conceiving both of my boys, and helping me figure out when I was ovulating. And now it helps me avoid, now it helps me avoid getting pregnant. Paying attention to my cervical mucus, the texture, the consistency, the color. And then if you want to, you can also observe and record your cervical position, but that takes a little bit more hands-on experience, so to speak, because you have to, you know, figure out where your cervix is, what it, you know, the texture and all of these things. So I mean, it's up to you if you want to do that with your cervical position. I didn't do that I didn't do it with my first. With my second, I think I only tracked my cervical position for 2 weeks before I got pregnant with him. Because with your cervical position as well as your cervical mucus, you will need to track these things for at least 2 to 3 months, if not longer, depending, before you will begin to see an obvious pattern or a pattern at all. Hopefully within that first, you know, 2 to 3 months, you'll be able to know or see, especially in your cervical mucus, because that's really, it's either there or it's not. You know, egg white cervical mucus, it's either there or it's not. It's either creamy or it's, you know, sticky. You know, I mean, it's pretty, with your cervical position, it's a little bit harder because you really do have to figure out like a pattern. So that takes a little bit longer. Sometimes it takes women like 6 months for them to know what their cervical position is doing. And then to also help you track your ovulation, you can start to track your BBT, which is your basal body temperature. This has been very helpful for women trying to pinpoint their ovulation, even with inconsistent and irregular periods. So this is good news. It has also been successful for helping women confirm or even confirm a hormone imbalance. So it's been successful in helping women confirm a pregnancy. You can kind of see your temperature change when you conceive. Goes up, stays up, doesn't go down, it stays up. And so a lot of women can kind of suspect that they're pregnant when they track their basal body temperature prior to doing the pregnancy test, if their temperature stays up. Now, if their temperature stays up and then they test negative and it continues to stay up, that can clue the woman in to test again. And usually majority of the time when it does stay up, they do get their positive, but every now and then it just depends on the woman. So that's also something, the basal body temperature tracking and observing and tracking that also takes a couple of 2 to 3 months for you to kind of see, to get a pattern, to kind of know where you're at. So I don't want to go into too much detail about how to observe and track your basal body temperature specifically, because there's plenty of information that you can find online. All you have to do is search. There's like article after article and website after website, and Fertility Friend gives a lot of information on basal body temperature. So then you want to recognize your ovulation symptoms. You want to begin to kind of tune into your body and the way you feel. For every woman, these ovulation symptoms are different. So to identify the symptoms specific to you and your body, it's important, especially in preparing for pregnancy. If you want to be able to pinpoint when you're actually ovulating, you're going to want to try to tune into these ovulation symptoms. I'm not going to go into too much detail of what those symptoms are, just for the sake of time. But I don't want to forget to mention LH strips help, ovulation kits, ovulation calculators. These are things that are all designed to help you pinpoint your ovulation. which is very important for the next step, which is have well-timed sex. Have sex before, during, and after ovulation. I myself, for both of my boys, we had sex 3 days leading up to ovulation, on ovulation, and 2 days after. And with my first, I got pregnant the 4th month of trying. I do want to mention that the first 3 months we were using lubricant, and it didn't dawn on me, or I didn't realize that could affect trying to conceive. And so the 4th month of not using the lubricant, we conceived. With my second son, I got my first postpartum period when my son was 10 months. I was breastfeeding at the time. And so I got my first postpartum period. In the cycle following that, I conceived my second son. So I think having sex, the amount of times and when we had them, was pretty successful. But I mean, it depends. If you know the man's sperm count, you're gonna, if it's like lower, you're gonna want to do it every other day so that you can kind of save up, so to speak. If the man has a higher sperm count and you're not worried about that, then you can have sex every day. 5 days before your ovulation, on ovulation, and 5 days after. It really doesn't matter. I mean, just have sex around the time you're ovulating. You want to have as much sex as you can. If you don't know the man's sperm count, then go with your gut. What does your gut say when to have sex? What does your body say? Like I said earlier, the woman, listen to your sex drive. If you are wanting to have sex right then listen to your body, so that, I mean, your body's telling you something. So let's discuss ways you can increase your cervical mucus really quick, because I know this video is getting long already. See? Okay, ways to increase your cervical mucus, because the cervical mucus plays a very important role in conception, because it keeps the sperm alive. It helps, you know, the sperms get to the egg. It helps create the environment in which this egg and the now fertilized egg is going to attach to the uterine wall, and all of these things. So you're going to want to stay hydrated, eat vegetables and a lot of green food. Drink grapefruit juice as long as it doesn't contradict any medications you're taking. Be careful with antihistamines, because that's going to dry you up, and you want to be hydrated. I'm going to say hydrated. Drink red raspberry leaf, red clover, and nettle leaf, as long as it doesn't contraindicate any of your medications. Evening primrose oil, because you want omega-3s. Flaxseed, because you want, I want to say that's right, flax seed, because you want omega-3s. Vitamin C. No douching. Don't douche. Don't douche at all, ever. But don't douche when you're preparing for pregnancy. You can, a lot of women have had success with using pre-seed lubricant, and I just want to, 1 second. I just wanted to mention that really quick. And watch out for chemicals. Watch out for chemicals in food and just chemicals in general. It really helps to lower the amount of chemicals you're exposing yourself to when you're preparing for pregnancy and when you're pregnant, and just in general in life. I suggest you do it. Even if you're not preparing for pregnancy, just watch out for the chemicals. So this is all the information I have up to leading to ovulation in preparing for pregnancy. I tried my best to include as much information as possible without making this video too long, but already it's going to be 15 minutes here, and it's too long. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I want to remind you to be careful. Have fun. Enjoy your weekend. It's Friday for me. So, yes. Stay blessed, friends. Bye!
Ninja alcoholic?